It's October 11th, 2018, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I am your host, Chris Quinn, coming to you, as always, from Studio B here at the Co-Prosperity Sphere in beautiful Bridgeport, Chicago, the community of the future. Thanks to Lumpen Radio for having us on. Once again, thanks to the fearless leader of Lumpen Radio, Mr. Logan Bay, and the other fine folks at Lumpen Radio. Great place. You should check out all of their programming on the Lumpen Radio app, maybe, or TuneIn Radio, anything like that. If you are listening now over the airwaves or streaming live, you can pop into the chat room. And if you're listening on podcast, you don't have to, but maybe next time, download and listen live or tune in to 105.5 FM if you're in the Chicago area. I think there's a pretty good coverage now for Lumpen. Have you illegally boosted your signal yet, Ed? I mean, legally boosted your signal?
Yes, we've been boosting the signal. We've been putting up a lot of tin cans with strings have been attached to various neighborhoods across the entire city. So we have one radio, that FM radio that works, and we have 1,000 tin cans attached to that center.
Oh.
And then people are just listening in. Just pull the string really hard. You'll be able to hear a good signal right now.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have people who are, okay, I see people. There's a lot of people walking around with aluminum foil and tin cans and stuff like that here in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
So they're just tuning in to Lumpen Radio. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Got it. Well,
and
thanks.
if they don't keep the string taut, you don't get a signal. So
got it.
A lot of times cars will come by and people got to walk across the street.
Right.
Reset the strings.
Right.
So keep those strings taut, everybody.
So people can hear Lumpen
so we
Radio.
Can hear us tonight.
The radio for the people.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank everyone who is listening, no matter what way they tend to be listening.
Interweb, FM, whatever, FM, RF signals.
Yeah, exactly.
Your phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I want to say for people who are listening for the first time, the ones that are still around who have not, ran in terror so far, that we like to give a little rundown for what this show is. So basically, the goal of this show, the Insiders Roundtable, is to open up a window into how the people making, selling, marketing, and facilitating the beer, getting into your glass, feel about the topics that are a part of their everyday lives. And many of my greatest beer experiences have been talking about beer while sharing beer with people whose opinions I respect and admire. And it's these experiences that I hope to capture with this show, the Insiders Roundtable. And with that, I will introduce my guests, but not before I mention that all the opinions of my guests are their own and are not the opinions of any other entity that they may or may not be affiliated with. Ed, what other entities could you think of that they would not be representing the opinions of?
You're not representing the state of Illinois. You're definitely not representing Gio's Pizza Place. And you're not representing me.
Lumpen Radio. You are Lumpen Radio, right?
Yeah, I incarnate myself as Lumpen Radio half the time. But tonight, I'm merely
yourself.
Myself.
Yeah, you're yourself. Yeah. So we introduce guests in order of seniority. So I think we already kind of introduced you, Ed.
Hello there. Yes,
the
thank
man
you.
who needs no introduction, but gives himself one either, anyway.
Just butts in.
Yep.
Here I am.
the number one most frequent unscheduled
guest.
crashed guest, but
Yeah.
you are an official guest today.
Yeah, this is my first official invite this year, Chris. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate
I
it.
wanted to get one in 2018.
I knew you needed some experts here tonight, and of course, you know that I'm delighted to talk to you at all times, anytime.
So, you were. I don't want to talk, behind the scenes too much, but you were pretty tired. What's going on, man?
You know,
Like-
school's just making me really tired. It's a lot of homework, a lot of after-school programming that I'm involved in. I'm just getting beat up. Rock climbing,
Rock climbing.
swimming, everything.
So nothing work related. Just adding to.
Well, yeah,
Fire.
work, yes.
Now, tell me the truth. Are you to wind down from all this? Do you have to stay up late and play video games? Tell me the truth.
I'm sorry, did you say in order to wind down from my brutal schedule of rock climbing and after-school, aftercare learning, do I need to play Overwatch?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Until 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Most nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Halloween specials out. The season's out right now, and you can get some great skins. Hammond, the hamster ball, has a new giant pumpkin skin. There's a lot of great skins. They don't really do a good.
You know what? I'm seeing people. The strings are becoming less taut by the second as you continue to talk
right.
about this on the tin cans.
This is a beer show, not
So
a
maybe
video game.
I did ask. To be fair, I
Yeah.
asked.
Yeah.
I should have known better.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, Ed. I know you're tired, and I
Thanks.
appreciate
You know what
coming
though?
on.
I'm just fueling up for gaming, so I'm feeling like this show may get me ready to go and play games.
Yeah, get you geared up for
Thank you.
your true passion
Yeah.
after beer and magazines and radio but video games.
Yeah. Eating.
My next guest is Mr. Adam Vavrick of the Publican Group, or where are you from, Adam, other than Chicago?
Yeah, Publican Group, sure. Publican Family Restaurants,
yeah.
one-off
One-off
hospitality, all that good stuff. Hi, thanks for having me again.
Yeah. What have you been up to, man? You've been busy.
Yeah, just prepping a bunch of events that we're doing, and oddly enough, I've also been up really late playing video
Stole an
games
event from me.
recently. Did I?
You didn't really steal an event from me, but you're doing an event with Josh Noel that I had been talking to him about, but take it.
You can have it.
No.
I don't care.
Have the event.
I don't care.
He's canceled that
fine.
event with me like for 3 months in a row.
Oh,
So it just keeps moving around between you two.
I think he's trying to play people off one another. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I mean that would be the smart thing.
we all
Know
want-
your marketplace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been up late a lot playing video games.
Which one you playing?
I'm playing NHL 19. Oddly enough, I know it's surprising.
Is it good?
You're such a jock.
It's great. I play pretty
Online?
much every year. Yeah, I play online. I play as a defenseman because I'm not great as a forward, but I'm really great at defense. Mm-hmm. And I have a
Man, these strings are getting really slack,
Yeah.
guys. Really slack. These tin cans. The power of the station
It's
is
because
is
traffic
plummeting.
is going by. It has nothing to do with the subject matter, Chris.
I tend to doubt that. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks
Glad
for
that
having
you're
me.
enjoying NHL 19. And I hope that all your events that you're doing are going well. Do you have anything coming up for this weekend that you're doing specifically?
This weekend, no.
Okay.
No, the end of the month. We've got one. Well, do you want me to talk about them or?
You know what? Well, we can get to that
Yeah,
at
we
the
can.
end.
Yeah,
At the end.
yeah, that's fine.
But thank you for asking.
Yeah.
My final guest is Miss Kate Bernot of Draft.com. Where are you
Formerly
from?
Draft.
Formerly
Formerly
Draft.
Draft.
Oh boy.
Formerly.
Oh man, I screwed that up.
Nailed it.
All good.
Nailed it. We'll edit that out in post. I'm sorry.
R.I.P. draft.
Right. That's true.
Going out. No, these days, you can find me writing about beer and other objects that you can eat or drink at thetakeout.com.
That's right,
And
The Takeout.
freelance and elsewhere. Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for having me on with some of my favorite people. What's up, Ed?
Kate!
So fun, I
Yay!
know.
Hey!
Hi, buddy.
I'm stretching my tin can string so tight with
Nice.
enthusiasm.
I'm gonna
So
just
glad to be here.
I'm gonna reach over the
trying to
studio
turn this.
system and put my hand into the screen.
There you
It's
go.
I'm
Hello.
touching my laptop and it's like we're holding hands.
Hi.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Hi.
What's new with you?
September was a blur. Man, people need to schedule beer stuff for not in September.
Yeah.
GABF, and I was in Fort Collins, and then it was Montana Brewers Conference, which is my location these days.
Yeah, what was that
so
like?
yeah, it was just like, oh, did September happen?
What was
don't know.
well, can you give me some highlights from so what was it? What was it, Fort Collins? Did you say?
Montana? Oh, Fort Collins. I was just out at New Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Baby's first time at New Belgium. Can you imagine?
Oh.
Isn't that embarrassing? I know.
Wow, that's cool.
No. So finally earned my beer cred. So
I've
yeah,
never
went to
been.
Belgium, GABF. Good.
How was the Montana Brewers Conference?
It was great. There were a lot of folks in from out of town this year, which was really cool. Dr. J. Nicole Beckham from the Brewers Association was out here. John Hall from Craft Beer and Brewing was out here. It was quite a little reunion, so lots of fun.
Cool. And GABF, do you go every year pretty much for that, or?
I think this is my 4th year, which is not a lot in GABF attendance terms.
Yeah.
It feels like lifetimes, honestly.
I've never been. That's the big one. I've never been.
Same.
to.
I've also never been.
Have you been at?
I think, you know,
Of course I've been
You
there,
go
Chris.
once,
What do
like
I look
Disney-
like, anyways?
it's like Disney. Go once, say you've been.
Never been.
It's
to
really
Disney.
exhausting if you don't like high traffic carpet and fluorescent lighting.
Right.
It's wearying a bit.
Yeah.
It can be if you go to it for the whole evening. I
Yes.
just go there and hang out in the lobby at the pregame show, chill,
Smoke cigarettes
smoke-
behind the
smoke-
school,
Yeah, smoke cigarettes in the bathroom.
underneath
Say
the
hi to
bleachers.
people. Check out who's ignoring who as
Yeah.
they walk by.
Yeah, get some juicy G, get some
Yeah.
gossip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do a lot of investigating there. Chris.
Oh, is that what
I
you
look-
call it?
I look in the trash a lot. Pull out documents and cups.
Got
I'd
it.
start
Yeah.
spreading rumors.
Okay, so you hang out in the lobby and you pick through the trash.
Yeah,
When you
and-
go to the people, if you're really in the know,
Yeah.
when you go to GBF,
I'm wearing
you
my
know
Nash Chun Journal
Yeah.
hat usually.
With
Getting
the, like,
swabs
the little
of beer,
card in it, yeah.
getting little swab samples of every beer in every garbage can, and just kind of analyzing them in my lab
Right.
afterwards.
And stringing the little red strings together between the what comes back. What kind of analysis do you run in your lab? It's a it seemed to be made of Tinker Toys when I saw it.
Well, we're basically just trying to measure IBUs in cotton.
Okay,
Cotton-soaked beer, dried-out beer.
so you're not into the JBUs that they've been talking
The
about lately.
JBUs are different. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't do that yet. We don't have
You
the
can't test
technology.
for that.
Cannot test for JBUs.
Okay.
However, I can test for CBDUs.
Oh,
Yeah, now that I have
those were
this-
probably big
Yeah.
in GABF this
yeah,
year.
absolutely. Well, you know, the thing about
Were there any
JBF
CB
is
go on.
that, you know, if you were in Denver and you didn't go with like a bag of brownies or some sort of edibles, you wouldn't really be able to taste all the beers anyways. So you have
Right.
to go totally blitzed out of your brain on some sort of THC CBD thing just to get the flavor, because you're palate fatigue. So you got to just keep chewing gummies to just refresh your palate and just keep drinking.
Got it. Now, Kate, in all seriousness, is this your first time since recreational marijuana has become a thing? Is your first time at GABF since then? No. Okay.
I think this is the at least second, if not third year since that has been an option.
Yeah.
And yeah, the brewers seem stoked on it. They are like lined up outside the dispensaries, you know.
That's what I was going to ask. How much of is
Yeah.
it of unofficially and officially other CBD beers that are being poured there? Anything like that?
Not a lot of CBD beers.
Not as much. No. Not what you'd think, but there is plenty of off-site recreational enjoyment of such products.
Sure.
Which personally, like being high in the Denver Convention Center during GABF sounds like honestly
That would-
a waking nightmare
Yeah.
to me. But,
I think I would.
Hey, to each their own.
I'd end
Yeah,
up.
whatever, Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like something you love, Chris. sitting in a giant pool of gummies, just swimming around like it's a kiddie pool at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Full of hybridized THC laced gummy bears. I see you, Chris.
I think I'd freak out. I'd end up just like not even going in there. I'd hang out in the vestibule and pick through trash or something. That's probably what I'd end up doing.
Just thinking
That's
about
cool.
being around that many brewers, it just gives me anxiety. Like without even adding a drug element to it.
Well, I go there with a pair of clippers and a mirror, and I have a side gig, and I clean up as a barber at the GABF in the
Really?
bathroom. In the bathroom, in between
Any
picking
facial
through
hair too?
trash, I just clean up. I'm cutting hair, cutting beards, making bank. People are leaving their dime bags and their gummy beer bags all over when they're getting their hair cut. I just clean up.
Just while it's
like
when they're not
Halloween.
looking,
Like Halloween.
swab their glass to get the IBU data
yep.
back at the lab that you're going to run.
The JBUs
And the JBUs.
for the future.
Yeah. So after you swab it for IBUs, you still hold on to all of your Q-tips.
all the Q-tips.
For when you can test for JBUs in the
Absolutely.
future.
Absolutely. I have filing cabinets for those.
And for those of you who don't,
Refrigerated.
that's the newly
Juice.
coined juice bomb unit.
Juice bomb unit, yeah.
Oh my
That was
God.
coined by, I think, Nick Nuns at True Brewing and Eric Buster Capron out here at Half Acre.
Yeah.
IBUs are dead.
two
It's now-
pioneering
it's juice
sci-
bomb units.
I mean, yeah, Juicy and Hazy was like the huge thing at GABF this year, right?
Chicago
it was
style.
Chicago won a
Chicago
lot for
style
that. and
IPA.
It beat out IPA for numbers of entries in that category, which was astonishing.
And Chicago rules that style. I mean,
You know,
at least
curiously,
of the people who submitted.
The most interesting thing that I could gather from your outline this week, though, Chris,
Yeah, but you didn't hit refresh, so you're looking at the outline from the
From
last
6
time
years
you
To be
were.
fair, I didn't look at it
officially
at
on.
all, so you've got.
well, the
you're up on
gentleman
me.
who wore that T-shirt
Great.
while he won an award,
Yeah,
I'll look now.
now that's a pretty hot story.
yeah.
Why don't we talk about that?
Oh, was that the
Top
FAB
guy.
shirt?
So let's quickly talk about the beers we've been drinking lately, because there's a few beers I want to talk about that were sent to us that's kind of special.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay,
format.
well, you know what? I'm just going to give you my talk about what beers I've been drinking, because obviously all I'm drinking is everything that's like the 4 or 5 beers coming out every week from Mars. So I'm just drinking them while playing Overwatch. I've been drinking so much, I brought a Pocari Sweat with me just to rehydrate
Can I
myself.
see that?
What is that? What is an ion supply drink?
Well, Pocari Sweat is one of my
Ion
favorite
supply
non-alcoholic beverages. So, you know,
Okay.
we're entering this experimental beverage zone at Mars.
Okay.
Doing these cold brew, doing coffees, doing these collaborations, things with Dark Matter and Bridgeport Coffee. Pocari Sweat is like basically the A-level Gatorade of Japan.
Got it.
Look at that branding.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's very
Very
Similar.
Coca-Cola.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm drinking the Jungle Boogie coffee, which is the Dark Matter blend with the.
So you're drinking
May I open
coffee
this?
tonight?
I gotta do this show. I gotta play games. I got a video game. I got gaming in a couple hours.
EdMar is crushing canned cold brew right now.
Yeah.
All right.
And Pocari Sweat.
And Gatorade and A-level
Oh man, it smells
Japanese
terrible.
Gatorade.
It smells great.
It smells like
Sweat.
like a fresh
sweat.
sweat and like cotton balls. Like if you buy a new bag of cotton balls and open
And
that
you're
up.
sweating and you're dabbing yourself like you would swab beer
Wait,
on
like-
a glass at JBF.
JBU. Yeah.
Get the JBUs.
Okay. Anything else that you've been enjoying lately?
Is this a real
Well,
thing?
Hop Comment, fresh hopped IPA we just put out, just making me happy. And I'm drinking any free beer
Now,
that might show up here in the studio.
got it.
Even
So
your leftovers.
have you guys noticed the wet hop beers this year seem to be a little
Not a lot of them.
not a lot of them this year.
It's
Are they?
because-
Was the hop harvest late this year, or I don't think it was.
I think everybody
was it?
probably planned on the hot hops, and
didn't
the
get 'em.
ones that had the contracts already
Yeah.
got them.
We got ours from Landlock Hops in eastern central Illinois. They made a beautiful Comet hop this year, the first batch, and try some later.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But I noticed that I just have not seen a lot of
Not many
wet hop
people.
beers this year.
The Founders Harvest just dropped.
True.
Um,
But no one can drink
Yeah.
Founders anymore, right?
I didn't.
That's
next
different
week.
Next week.
Yeah, right.
The Brewdew came and went really fast. Like by the time I asked for a keg, it was already gone. So I actually grabbed a bunch of bottles.
Three
Floyd's Brewdew.
I think that's because everyone drank it at his wedding.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nick
Brewdew.
Floyd.
Congrats to Nick and Abby.
Nick Floyd got married.
Nick and Abby finally entered the global prison of marriage together. Congratulations.
There you are. Congrats. I'm sure that was
That's where all the fresh
spectacle.
hop beer
I'm sure
went.
That's true. In the country, it just went
All
there.
of it went
All of it
that
right
to
there.
party.
Nick Floyd's private party.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, good for him. How about you, Adam? Anything you've had lately?
Yeah, actually, mine was going to be Brewdew because I
Very good this year.
I requested. I was at work, and when I realized that the kegs were gone, I actually called my wife and I asked her to swing by the store and pick up a bunch of bottles. So she was kind enough to do so. So I've been kind of crushing that. The other one I had that I liked recently, I guess, was the Foreign Objects Mystic Flowers of such and such and such.
Whoa, that sounds like a witchcraft beer.
It is. I love these guys because of it. I mean, their stuff's all like super occulty and weird.
New York, right?
Yeah, from New Paltz, New York. And I never thought I'd carry like hazy IPAs, but
Oh, man.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
I know it.
Are you?
What day is this?
Are you a
October
hazy?
11th?
Are you a
What-
hazy boy?
Wait a minute.
I'm not a hazy boy yet, but
Wait a second.
You're going to be
I
a
have
pastry boy soon.
I have an idea. Well, actually, I lied. Peter from Metropolitan had an idea when we were drinking the other night that I think I'm going to implement. So we'll talk about
Metropolitan,
that
the haziest brewery
in the show from 3 weeks
Chicago.
ago. But yeah. So anyway, so I've been tasting through hazies.
Are you gonna implement? Are you gonna talk about your idea, or it's secret?
It's secret.
I got some haze
It's
for
in
you, bro, in
planning.
that cooler right
You can't
there.
drop.
I'm gonna taste it.
You
All
can't.
right.
You can't just.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
Wow.
what do you think this is?
You
Chris?
can.
A
What
What do you think? This is
democracy?
your show?
You
Think
can,
this
but
is
it's
like
lame.
a commune. You
So
gotta share
can
our
you
feelings?
pull out the crowlers that were there? Because I wanted to.
Gladly.
Kate, do you have communes over there in Montana where people demand you reveal everything?
Ruby
Oh.
Ridge, right? I think
There's-
it's Ruby Ridge.
There's no such thing as like weird militants.
Our communes
and-
are strictly peaceful.
That's what I thought.
You know, and about deer and bears and stuff. It's nothing.
Animal communes.
Yeah, it's all very natural and yurts and all that. I
Is
don't
there-
I
know.
thought
If
you guys don't you guys have a lot of those like militant?
Oh, like Eamon Bundy, who's
Yeah.
speaking in Fish, Montana. This
They're not
week,
from
yeah.
Montana.
Mhm.
They're not
Yeah,
even-
we got those.
But they're not from Montana.
Right, they're just squatting there
They
because
squat
nobody
there.
else
Hanging
wants them.
out on our land. But Missoula is cool because Missoula is like the Austin of Montana.
Ah,
So Missoula
okay.
is like a safe space.
Got it, got
Except
it.
Trump is coming next Thursday. So
Shut it down.
yeah.
Is it's a college town then I would guess.
Yep.
Okay.
University of Montana's here.
Think about it.
I want to talk about these crowlers. That was very Canadian. Sorry.
no,
I
let
want
me-
to talk about these crowlers real quick. There's 3 of them.
Can I
here?
set them up?
They're but
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the styles that are listed on the side and what they are.
Okay.
Pilsner.
So John Rubio of the Beerists, out of Austin, Texas.
Speaking
Speaking of
the
yes.
Missoula of Texas.
just sent me 3 crowlers and a couple extras as well of beer from Austin Beer Garden Brewing, I believe it is.
Yeah. They cleaned up at GABF.
Yes, exactly. So he sent 3 crowlers. He said they're super fresh, but drink them soon. So that was very, very nice of John.
crack
If
one
you
open for
guys
me?
haven't, we have to get John on the show. In fact, it's a shame he hasn't been on already. But
Haziest one.
There is no haze.
yeah, hold on. Just let me thank the man, Ed. Then you can
Just steal his beer, drink it all.
Yeah, and also just steal the conversation.
Oh, was I on mic?
Yeah, you were on mic.
Oh.
When you returned to the mic talking into it, you were, that went over the air. So anyway, if you guys haven't listened to his show, The Beerist, it's a fun beer podcast. It's been around for years and years, and it's a great show that you should guys.
I think it's
listen
really
to.
cool that he sent you beer. That's very nice of him to send
Yeah.
award-winning beer across the country
Yeah,
to a fellow producer of beer
So
journalism.
we got to think of some stuff to send back to him. So maybe some Mars beer.
That would be great. Can you pay for the postage?
Yes.
Excellent.
I can
will.
throw in a bottle of Pixie Dusted.
Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah. There you are. Perfect.
You hear that?
Speaking of award-winning beers,
Yeah, that's true.
our own GABF winner in the house, Adam. Woo woo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of surprising.
Wait, what
yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
What the heck happened?
All right, we'll talk about that, and then we'll get back to this beer.
You're
No,
a
no,
GABF
finish,
winner?
finish this, and then we'll go.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
What the heck? Where the hell have I been?
yeah, we won.
I'm so primitive.
We won silver for Pixie Dusted, the collab I did with Firestone Walker.
Oh, that's right. That was your collab.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It's a great beer.
Man,
I
oh,
called
man.
it. I said, "This is a really great beer. I really like it." That counts
Yeah.
for me.
That's true,
It does.
actually.
You
That's-
actually had a positive comment.
It is true. I did say it was a really good beer.
You know what?
Really awesome.
I don't care what they say about Chris Quinn, but if he does actually mutter something positive about something, it means a lot.
I tell your beers that I don't like them quite a bit. So, but I do.
You tell
say-
the beers that, or do
I
you
tell the beers.
You
I
tell-
know,
you don't
I,
tell me
I don't
that.
tell Ed. I just tell the
talk
beers.
to- you
like
talk
late
the
at
beer.
night?
Like, what are you doing?
It's more of a
I
power
hate your
thing.
beer.
Yeah.
It's more of a
Understood.
power
You try to
thing.
overpower the beer at night?
Yeah, I just want to just show 'em-
Dominate
yeah.
the beer.
Speaking
like,
of,
I
Kate,
gotta
would you
feel
like to talk
empower
about the
sometimes.
brewery since you know about it a little bit? Because I'd never heard of this brewery until they cleaned up at GBF.
Yeah, tell us
Oh
about it.
yeah. No, I mean they're an awesome lager producing brewery out of Austin. Which, if you only know Live Oak for their pills and stuff, turns out other great Austin lager makers. But yeah, they racked up some hardware and then subsequently had a really long line at their booth. So good on them.
Yeah, good
Awesome.
on them.
That's awesome.
And Texas has long been a big kind of lagering state. So
Damn,
the
down there.
whole the history of the ice houses and stuff like that.
Oh, I love Ice House.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
original Ice House is from Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
Plank Road, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
authentic.
So could you then talk about the labels on the beer, Adam? And I do want to mention that you're listening to WLPNLP Chicago 105.5 FM. This is the Insiders Roundtable, Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, and I'm your host, Chris Quinn. I am joined by my guests, Kate Bernot, Ed Marzewski, and Adam Vavrick.
Yeah. So these crowlers, they're really nice. They're just clean, and they do have wrap on them, which you know,
like a shrink wrap.
yeah, which definitely is a in the plus column. But was interesting. So they donate 5% of all their profits to nonprofits, which is pretty cool. But then there's nothing hazy listed on the styles. There's
Just
a
go
Helles.
down 'em, yeah.
Yeah, there's Hell Yes Helles, Industry Pilsner, Day Trip Pale Ale, Superliner IPA, Big Mama Red, and Rocket 100 Pilsner. So it's all, I mean, arguably classic styles, which is kind of cool to see. I was when you said crowlers, I immediately thought, cool, we're just gonna get hazy stuff, or like the next, Brettanomyces, table beer with Nelson Sauvin hops or something. So
That sounds good too.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds terrible. Don't think that.
Do you have a preference as to which one we open first? There's
No.
2 Pilsners and a Helles.
Let's start with the Helles then, I suppose. Why not? And yeah, keep the other ones iced down, I guess. But very cool. So thanks again to Mr. John Rubio for sending this stuff along. So, Kate, any beers that you have been excited about lately?
Yes. So right now I'm drinking a beer that from a brewery that I got to meet in person for the first time at GABF, which was cool. But they're from ye old Midwest. You folks might have heard of Speciation Artisan Ales,
Yes,
out of Comstock.
yes.
Yeah. So I'm drinking Cucumosis. It's a cucumber beer.
Cucumber? Yeah,
Yeah. So this is like in line with a thing that I was seeing pop up a bunch at the festival, which was kind of like savory sours, like tomato sours, cucumber sours, tomatillo sours. This one happens to be aged in gin barrels, which is doing some very cool stuff for it.
Okay.
Salinity is good. There's some pineapple in there. It's basically spa water. So
Okay.
I don't have Ed's fancy Japanese electrolyte drink, but I do have a salt cucumber pineapple beer, which I think is the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's
Very
called
relaxing.
Pocari beer.
I think you could drink that, Ed. You
Yeah.
could put some cucumber slices over your eyes, poke holes in the center of them. So
I
you can
just
still
pour the
gain.
beer over my eyes and drink it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But I want to
What's
see.
nice about
yeah.
this beer is you can use it as a face mask.
Exfoliate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great for the skin as well. So I'm digging it.
That's awesome. Well, great. It's a twofer. And that's great to hear. Speciation was out there and
Yeah,
got
people
some
were
love.
digging them for sure. I think like that whole the sort of like vegetable and playing with fruit and barrel tart situation was very much happening. I don't know what to call that, but I've been thinking like savory sour because there were a lot of that like I said, tomato with sour tart base.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So tomato to me always makes me think DMS, or dimethyl sulfide. So that's kind of interesting.
DMS is in.
But
Is it- well, I mean,
but it's also
so
very
ignorant now.
umami.
DMS
You
is
know,
the new black.
Damascanone is in, but like yeah, the umami thing and then
Umami's
that
in.
canned tomato thing. is-
Can I just name drop Umami Stout from 2014, Mars Community Brewing?
sure. I would be shocked if you didn't. Ed.
Yeah. Just
I'd be
wanna-
shocked if you didn't name
We're
drop.
riding that trend.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that.
good.
And you
Soy
also-
sauce, barrel aged
Yeah.
mushroom.
I remember
beer.
that. I remember when you did that beer.
I would say
For those
this
out there, he's
way
telling the
more-
truth.
But it is kind of
I'm sorry,
incredible. It is kind of
will
incredible,
you-
Kate. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
talk more about this savory beer thing. It might overtake haze and juicy beers someday, correct?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't pretend to like throw money on any beer trends ever because who knows. But I think like to Adam's point about the DMS though, I feel like a lot of the tomato stuff that I had was way more like green tomato, fresh tomato, like not. So it's more just kind of like acidity and a little bit of sweetness, and not as much like
So you,
unctuous.
so like
tomato.
the brewers just grabbed the tomatoes in their hands and crushed them, squeezed that tomato juice out, crushed them into the
Yeah.
mash. Just each tomato was hand crushed.
You know what's a really lovely flavor that I like in a lot of white wines, especially like Sauvignon Blanc sometimes, is like, I call it like tomato plant.
Yeah,
like
that
the-
very green,
Yeah.
snappy kind of thing.
like the
it tastes like
stem.
tomato smell.
Yeah, when they're still kind of on the vine. So come on, mixed fermentation farmhouse ale brewers, make me a tomato
just dump
plant.
some Sauvignon Blanc in that beer.
Maybe we'll see the return of pizza beer.
Yeah,
There
get
was
some oregano.
a spaghetti goza.
Really?
Yeah, that was a
What
thing
made it a
that I
spaghetti?
tried.
What made it spaghetti?
Tomatoes, oregano, and spaghetti pasta.
Okay,
Because why not?
new concept for a bar. New concept.
A red checkered.
Only beer on the menu for your entrees, your appetizers, your desserts,
Oh.
and every single food that you could imagine could be made into a beer is on that menu. And
That's my hell.
Let's do
That's
that.
my
Let's-
dystopian future.
It's a conceptual art zone, art project. But would you like a pizza? Would you like to have some spaghetti
This
tonight,
is the
sir?
chef special.
I would try this. Because
Right?
remember, we've seen
Right?
like ham on rye.
Yeah.
Three Floyds
Sandwiches.
executed that beautifully. It
Yeah.
actually kind of
Yeah.
did the thing.
This is the new concept bar I'm opening up on the moon. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Kate, and Adam, and Chris
Yeah.
for this idea, and I'll just see you guys later.
You got. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
See it.
man.
Up there. Up. He's gone, and he left to go start it. Yeah, but you could have your nice little your cucumber starter, and then
Spa water.
Spa
I
water.
really like that.
Yes. Yeah. Sadly, you could definitely. I mean, obviously.
Think of all the pastries. Your pastry
Dessert.
menu is out of control.
Yeah.
You've got the best dessert menu on earth.
Yeah. It'd be insane. You'd have like a chef's tasting menu of desserts.
Yeah. Do you need a tropical papaya salad?
Yeah.
I've got that.
Or do
and
you want a
beer.
peanut butter cup marshmallow pretzel stout?
I'm telling you, this is going to happen, and we're going to recall this date some 15 years in the future.
Yeah. It's
When
going
all-
to take that long to
From the
initiate this?
Yeah, for this to happen. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So what would be your favorite?
No, what's going to happen is someone's going to come back from the future, and assassinate you because this is when the idea came out and it ruined beer. And it ruined beer forever is what's going to happen.
I've always wanted to be collateral damage.
Yeah.
But by that point, they'll have injected all kinds of like vitamins and minerals where you don't have to eat food.
I think
it's like you just drink beer. We'll just keep drinking beer to keep
Soylent.
alive. Exactly, Soylent beer.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm behind that.
Yeah, just drink beer for all your needs.
Or beer is converted into lettuce.
Yeah. Soylent is beer.
Yeah.
So this Hellas is excellent, by the way. And I think we should probably take a little bit of a station break so you guys can hear some of the other programming available out there on Lumpen Radio, some of the other great shows. And then we'll be back shortly, a minute, 2 minutes or so, with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I am your host, Chris Quinn.
You know, I just thought of another way to improve this bar concept.
No, don't let me finish coming back.
Yeah,
What's up?
you add these plain wafers.
I mean, come on.
There's these
Ed.
plain wafers that are like crispy wafers that you put on the plate and you pour the beer on them, and that's how you eat the beer. It could be cardboard.
You had several minutes to just forget about this and go on to your next little idea.
Your next
thing.
Sponges, tofu infused beer flavors. All right. Did you want to do your show now, Chris?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, it's a great idea. I can't wait for, you said 15 years when people look back.
On the moon.
Yeah, on the moon. It'll be, I imagine it being one of those, in the 50s.
Pop-up. Very popular pop-up
Yeah,
concept.
a pop-up.
Yeah.
A moon pop-up. Pop-ups, here's one thing I guarantee. I go on the record. Pop-ups will still be a thing in 15 years. Those
Absolutely.
are not going to be a fad.
Everything will be a pop-up.
Tell.
There will be no established businesses.
Yeah,
it'll be a constantly rotating pop-up business.
Of business for
that,
operating for 3 days.
You can put me down
maybe
right
4.
now. Pop-ups will be the way of the future.
We'll all just be pop-up people.
Yeah,
right.
Just presented for 1 week only. Kate, and then after a week, I'm someone else.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm someone else then.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so you better become my friend now because you're not my friend anymore in 2 weeks.
Well, that's you know what the thing is. If we are reincarnating ourselves every week or so as a pop-up individual, we could stay connected on Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So should we bring it down a little bit and talk about some sad news?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how did you guys? So the news was that Lagunitas announced 12% reduction in workforce, about 100 people, and I think I'm just curious to see. I mean, I've heard this being portrayed a couple different ways, including from people very close, like the CEO of Lagunitas and Tony, friend of the show, Tony, your good
one
friend,
of my dear
Ed,
friends,
one of your dear friends, Ed.
Yep.
Someone that you
I've had a lot of good times with.
Yeah, had a lot of good times with on the show here. Let's just crack open that old chestnut, shall we?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
All right, we'll
I think
leave
let's
it.
stick to the topic right now, which is 10% of Lagunitas' work.
We won't talk about your,
thought it was
your
12%.
fawning, sycophantic diatribe to Tony McGee weeks before he sold out. We were like, "You'll never sell, will you?"
No, I think.
What did you call him?
I think I called him. What did I call Tony?
The Jesus or the Messiah?
No, not the Jesus Christ of craft beer. I called him one of some sort of leader in craft beer.
Guru. Maybe?
No. What do we call him?
I wasn't here for that.
You should know, Chris, since you memorized the scene.
Yeah,
It's
right.
imprinted in your brain.
I just
forever.
remember more of what you were doing.
You mean more of me just being on my knees?
Yeah, more of
And,
you
like with my hands
verbally,
up, up in the air, and just verbally, kind of like lapping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, at that time, there was a lot
Weeks
of
later,
there was a
he
lot
sold
of
out
there was a
to
lot of
Lagunitas.
talk about the AB InBev being the beer Borg, and how I think that's when he started purchasing some breweries. And based on that conversation, Chris, I think I asked the question, you would never sell out to AB, InBev, or Miller, would you, Tony? And he said no,
not
never.
in a million years.
Not in a million years. But the thing is, what we didn't ask him is, would you sell out to the
Have you
Bell?
already inked a deal that has not been made public?
Yeah, it has been made public.
That's why he said never in a million years, because I'd be
gnomes,
sued. I've already.
Yeah, with the gnomes in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he...
Heineken.
Yeah, he... Anyway, so
we should make it
fast
clear to
forward
people.
like 3 years,
Yeah,
right?
4 years.
It's 12% of their
Not,
workforce.
I think 3 years.
I believe is what the number was. 12%, not
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
100
12%, 100 people.
We're laid off.
Yeah. So I'll just open it up. What do you guys? Let's not have Ed go first.
Yeah,
but
I'm not,
the
I'm
other
not talking
two people.
about it since you just really made me relive that very horrible experience.
Do you feel dirty, Ed?
Yeah.
I guess I'll start. I was super bummed by this. My heart kind of goes out to all those folks, especially since the majority of the people that lost their jobs came from Petaluma. So they're all, and I've been around for a while now.
Petaluma being the
headquarters.
original.
Yeah, the original headquarters.
The original space for Wagonese.
And I mean, I vacationed there 5 years in a row because they used to have this really cool trip called Skunk Train where it would go out in the woods and, met some super cool people. I mean, it was a great time. I went, like I said, 5 years in a row. And to watch that brewery grow in that time was pretty astounding.
And that is something that gets lost. I'm sorry, I'll let you continue. But it was kind of amazing to watch the stratospheric growth of that
crazy.
brewery when all of craft beer was on a trend that seemed so steep. Then you saw it was like an outlier. Just year after year, Lagunitas just on a whole nother plane, just
ramping up.
It
Absolutely
was insane. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But yeah. So a lot of those folks, that's people that were working, not just packaging line, not just brewers, but people that are doing office stuff, people that are doing HR, people that are maintaining, the grounds, all that kind of stuff. These are people that have been there. I'm guessing, but that have been there for a really long time. Yeah. And when you sell out to a larger company like that, that sort of stuff is you're just not needed anymore because that infrastructure already exists. And I chose my shirt that I'm wearing today very carefully because of that. So when I told you I didn't look at the topics today, I lied. I'm wearing my Sam's Wines and Spirits shirt, and I watched after, for those that don't know, Sam's was an institution in Chicago. We were purchased by Binny's on October 20th of 2009, and maybe 6 or 8 months later, there was a shedding of some folks from the Sam's ranks. It happens every time. It's not pleasant
time.
though.
Yeah.
And it really really sucks.
Yeah, and that's one thing I do think that it is inevitable. And what do you? I don't know what the acquiring company can say, but it always rings so hollow when you hear nothing is going to change.
Right.
Because they say that every time, and I've heard that outside the beer industry, in the beer industry, kind of ancillary beer. Yeah, it's like everything. And it's like, well, no, nothing's going to change for a little bit because you don't want people jumping ship. You want to make sure you can see how things are working first. But obviously, stuff has to change because you're buying people for a reason. But have they gone into the specifics of
what departments were fired?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No,
I didn't much of that.
Yeah, Kate would know better than us, I think, because she probably
No,
was.
I didn't see a ton. I didn't see any specifics, but I mean, I think it's like you have to have that waiting period. So it's not we bought you and here are the layoffs. But like Adam was saying, I mean, there's going to be redundancies in infrastructure, and then they get to couch it in this whole, well, it's just tough times for beer, which it is, I guess, categorically, but they've got the number one selling off-premise IPA, doing pretty well there. But yeah, you can couch it in like, well, just tough times for the industry, which
Well,
I
but
guess you
I
can't
hope-
argue, but
But what are the figures? How much more beer did they make last year over the previous year? How much did they sell? Does anyone know?
Yeah, they were up. They were up. I think in production and in sales. I believe.
So normally, you could.
So they were up. Hold on. So portfolio-wide dollar sales of Lagunitas are up 1.4%. This is according to Brewbound per IRI. So they're up, and then also off-premise of IPA is down 1.5%, which is and then I guess a little something is down 3.4, but still overall they seem to be doing they're up. And for the big guys, being up right now is
great.
not is better than most, but
And they're also all over Europe now. I mean, you may have noticed this in Amsterdam.
yeah.
And there's like, instead of Heineken signs, there are Lagunitas signs up on every street corner, every bar.
Yeah.
So they're expanding their presence in Europe and in Asia as well. So, you would expect this kind of cut if a company was on the decline and didn't sell as much. But obviously, this is a result of the Heineken purchase and the realignment of those workers within their kind of new structure.
But is it obvious? I mean, because what Lagunitas was saying was they're kind of battening down the hatches for what they see is the second. They're weathering the storm is I think how they put
road
it.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're seeing it as a second downturn in craft beer, and that they have to kind of get ready to weather the storm ahead, like they did during the first downturn in the 1990s when they called it the shakeout occurred, and that it took them 7 years to recover. Then, and that they need to be in a position to kind of weather this storm as well.
I'm very concerned about Heineken during this.
Yeah,
Has anyone checked on Heineken?
right.
Just given
do
a
they
little
feel?
safety check.
Yeah, and then Tony McGee gave a pretty juicy quote.
I don't think he cares.
To Brewbound was I mean, who knows how much he cares about, but I mean he put out some pretty seemingly heartfelt tweets and stuff like that for what that's worth, and he quoted to Brewbound. He said, "This is the piece I call the unseen hand of the corporation. I imagine some rationalization will start taking place, even if the business itself, the Lagunitas brands, are relatively healthy compared to the slowing of the craft segment overall. This may be nothing more complicated than a bit of an efficiency play, as Heineken over time embeds itself more deeply in the Lagunitas business." So,
I didn't hear that quote, and since I'm such a skeptic of Tony right now, I would believe that quote as being his true feelings.
yeah. He also said that when you sell, I think he had a quote or a tweet that said something to the effect of, when you sell your business, you're also selling kind of like the futures and aspirations and dreams of all these employees who have kind of taken this ride with you. So, and I don't think he, but he still, did sell it. But
At least he's honest about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you think it's probably a little bit of both, right? I mean, do you think it's interesting?
I mean, he can have made this bed in a certain sense.
Hit the button.
Yeah.
Hit the button.
That's not a word we should say.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry,
We're on the
sorry.
air.
I don't
Remember
think we're
the
gonna be invited back ever
the
again.
tin cans. Remember?
Gosh,
We used the red
darn.
button.
Gosh,
Don't worry,
darn.
it's been dumped. Well, no
Good
one will ever
move.
know.
fastest dump button move I've seen from Chris since 1973.
That's good. I was on it.
Yeah.
I'm
Bang.
checking that you're still awake over there. You know.
But
what about the-
continue your thought, Kate?
Yeah.
Oh no, just that he could have in some way contributed to this happening and still feel bad about it.
Oh,
the
yeah,
two are
for
not
sure.
mutually exclusive. Like how much. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's like part of his evil diabolical plan that everyone would get laid off. But did you create the conditions under which that was more likely to happen? Possibly.
Yeah, I don't. When I said I don't think he cares, I kind of meant it. I don't think that he cares in the same way he would have 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I think he probably knows every single one of those folks that got the axe, especially if the majority of them came from Petaluma. And I mean, you kind of have to not care. You have to divorce yourself from the situation if you are going to sell out their futures or whatever. And I'm not trying to.
Who knows?
I'm not trying to dump on
yeah,
this guy,
yeah.
but it's. I mean, it's just such a bummer,
Mm-hmm.
And now you have more out of work beer people looking for jobs that, probably. I mean, Petaluma's not. It's not exactly a metropolis. I don't know what else they can do. Maybe their particular skill set is logistics there, I don't know. It's a bummer.
I think there's a man. So it's interesting. There is a frequent guest who's been on here in the past where we've mentioned layoffs. I think from Stone in the past, and I forget who else, but there's been a couple. And every time, kind of as an aside, this person has said, like, they're using this as a reason. They're using their stated reason of, things are hard, or, the recent market has, taken a turn as a reason to kind of, get rid of some of the chaff. Like, there's
Get rid of senior people, cut wages.
Yes.
It's essentially a class war.
Well, or they're, or I mean, it could be people who are, more expensive than they are worth
Right.
to the company.
You look at
nowadays.
Constellation and the sales force that was with Ballast Point that, a bunch of people are cut. What was that, like last
Right.
year? It is pretty common. And most people who figure out how to run a company at that scale figure out where their so-called inefficiencies are, know how to target those employees that they don't want on the payroll anymore to save money, whether it's through health care or through their salary or benefits, et cetera. And it's just very common what happens when you have a larger organization or a
And
hedge
it's sometimes
fund.
easier to do than
hedge
it is
fund.
having like one-on-one conversations about this person's, their job and their performance. But then there's also, and obviously this is all speculation, but then again, that's what we do on this show. And there are redundancies. Like, you might not need 2 heads of HR.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. I don't know if that was, one of them, but it was, you might not need 2 logistics people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Heineken has a really good logistics team that can handle it. And then Heineken may also want to control some other stuff and say, you know what, we're going to take this over now. We think we understand it, and we think we can do it better than you, and we're going to do it.
Well, what about the other story, though?
We don't want the dissenting opinions.
The story that the market is on the decline.
That's the other side, yeah.
Well, I agree with that. But I don't think it's necessarily surprising or shocking. I mean, everything exists within balance, and things swing left and right on the pendulum constantly. And, there's only so many things we could do and so many breweries we could build and so many, bars that can exist and restaurants and so on. At some point, things do shake out and the market changes. The only constant really is change. And so I don't think he's wrong at all. I think the market is in a downswing, and it's consumer preference right now. The people we've been selling beer to for the past 10 years have younger siblings that are coming up that, instead of drinking, stealing Bud Light out of, their uncle's fridge, it was Sierra Nevada and Revolution. So wine and cocktails are hot right now. So then you have all these factors against it. It's flatter down, and it's going to be flatter down for a while.
I disagree. I totally disagree. I mean, you already saw that we have the largest share of the dollar of beer ever in the history of craft beer. It's
for craft. You're
yeah,
talking about,
for craft in general. You're right.
I'm just talking
craft?
beer. I'm talking beer overall, not necessarily
okay.
craft segment, just beer
Yeah.
overall. I'm sorry I didn't clarify.
And I also forgot that Lagunitas is technically not a craft beer company anymore. Sorry about that.
I think it depends on who you're
Yeah.
doing
Doing the counting.
who's doing the counting. You were going to say something, Kate?
Oh, I think we've failed to identify the largest villain in this whole story, which is late stage capitalism.
That's right. Yep.
How has Ed or Adam not just brought up that blame capitalism, brush our hands off and walk away, you know?
It just seems like something that's like always constant surrounding us, that you should know that narrative, that we forget to articulate it. Yeah, I mean, it's completely normal for this behavior to exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
I also
just wanted to make sure someone got it, you know,
Yeah.
on the record
Thank you,
for
Kate.
posterity.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
No, the pig system wants to automate things, get rid of humans in order to squeeze the most profit they can out of people, for sure, without a
No,
doubt.
I personally want to go hand my money to that Lagunitas, you know, groundskeeper. Be like, thank you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, but now we're getting pour
Here,
your
I'll
own
trade
beer.
you.
So.
You can come stay in my yurt anytime.
Right. But now what did you say?
Oh, I said now we're going to get your pour your own beer in concepts too, which we already have, and we're going to get more of it now, and especially on the brewery side. And so, yeah,
That weirds me out. Let's just segue into that. Let's go on a tangent.
yeah, because labor is easily one of the hardest things you have to deal with when you have a business. It exacerbates your overhead. You know, wages are going up, but prices for things are not changing. Rent is not changing. In fact, it's going up. Everything is basically stagnant. And so one of the quickest ways to fix your overhead is to batten down the hatches on your labor. And so if you can figure out ways to not hire people or squeeze more work out of the people that you have in different ways, then, you know, you've lowered that. But that's, you know, I don't see that as a sign of a healthy business or a healthy society.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a healthy business, but not a healthy
If you're
society.
struggling to the point where you're
I don't think you need to be struggling. I mean, there are probably vastly profitable companies who would gladly make that change if they felt
could.
they could.
if they could, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, if you think that, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I don't know anything about Buffalo Wild Wings. I've literally maybe the only person who's never been in one.
Yeah.
But let's just say I know they sell a ton of craft beer. And if you think that they, you know, if they thought they could get away and have a just as good consumer experience or close to it with no bartenders, they'd probably do it, and it would make them a lot more money. And, you know, does that mean that they're a struggling business? I wouldn't necessarily say so. You know, I mean, Amazon wants to have, you know, people-less everything, you know, if they can. They just have drones give you everything.
Amazon's pushing me away because of that, and it's not due to some egalitarian or nostalgic comfort with talking to a human, but because the information that's available is all that's available. I'll give you an example of this. I had to order something. My basement was leaking. I had to order something online to sop up all the water, and it gave me one option for shipping, even though I've got a Prime thing, and it's one option. There is no second day. There's not overnight. There's just one option.
Sure.
And so I trying to call them to find out why, because it was just completely circular, and trying to navigate the customer service experience of finding out why this is the case. It took me an hour.
But all you need to do is go down to your local hardware store that was put out of business by Amazon and just go buy it.
Exactly.
And then this is really why craft beer, to me and to many others, is such an important thing. There's small businesses, small manufacturing
You
businesses.
happy now, Kate? Did you get what you wanted, Kate?
Small manufacturing businesses.
I'm really never invited back again.
Yeah.
I'm totally banned
Yeah.
for life.
No, real people, real jobs for people in their community is the appeal of the craft brewery in opposition to the Heineken Lagunitas or the ABM
agree.
in Beckborg. And there are still humans out there that care about this connection to humanity. And Kate,
And who's making what they're
yeah,
consuming.
yeah.
And
I think, Kate, there's more of us than maybe we believe there are. and I'm hoping that there'll be more with these millennial kids as well.
Yeah, no, I go to the meetings. There's like 4 of us.
You got 4 people there? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Overthrow capitalism meetings.
this
on
isn't
Wednesdays
limited.
at the library.
This isn't limited to our industry either. There are people making things in small amounts all over
Sure.
the place. You look at the Kickstarters. You look at welding. You look at stained glass. You look at electronics and like analog synthesizers, which I've watched. As a big fan of that, I've been doing that since my teens, and to watch that industry change and grow and go through a boom and a bust and a boom and a bust, and see this resurgence of old technology and watch the modular thing go on and Chris Yons. It's kind of, people care about where their stuff comes from. I don't believe that people don't.
If they can find out where their stuff comes from.
Yeah, it's the access to the market and access to the information. It's distribution and large retailer and the space that they allow for things all over again.
I think but I think it also, let me be the curmudgeon. I'm pretty good at it. I think that also becomes like it becomes as much hip as it does truly meaningful to people. It becomes like the popular thing that cool people like, so I'm going to like. And I think there's a little bit of that going on right now.
If people really cared about that stuff, all the millennials would have home newspaper subscriptions instead of just record players.
Right.
Yeah.
Mic drop from the
Strong
journalist
answer.
over here.
Strong
Exactly.
answer.
Yeah. By the way, I do get a printed newspaper.
I
I'm just
get a
going to
printed
say.
newspaper. As a millennial, I think I'm like the
I'm
only
not a
one on the
millennial,
planet,
but yeah, I get one. Do you get one every day?
Yeah, and it's expensive,
It
man.
is expensive.
Like,
I only get it once a week.
and I love
and
you,
it's
but
really
you are
expensive.
not cheap. And they're still owned by Lee Enterprises. Like, even that's like
Right.
a conglomerate, whatever. But yeah, I don't know how the newspaper didn't manage to hop on board with the record players and bicycles and whatever to like make themselves cool, but they missed a giant marketing opportunity.
Yeah, they totally
And maybe
did.
we'd all still have jobs.
That's why Lumpen is such a giant in the printing industry today.
Yeah,
We've figured it out.
did.
But the thing is, it's very important that even though these gestures and these various industries are happening, it doesn't add up to the type of manufacturing that was done here, say 20, 30, 40 years ago.
No, that's true.
And it comes in, if we want to go into it again, it comes with the arrival of the Reagan administrations and the Republican and the neocons and
You happy,
neoliberalism, just smashing all workers' rights and our safety net. There's just been a campaign for 4 decades to destroy what was left and what was fought for decades in this country. And now, we're at the bottom of the pit. I think we're crawling out of that pit. And I think that, with the assistance of these various manufacturing movements and other trends within the marketplace, aligned with the use of new technologies, is that maybe there's a way to create a more economically sound economy or cities or systems that we could maybe do less harm to the planet and ourselves.
So to bring this back to beer, but try to
and then beer is one of
envelop
those
what
answers.
you were just saying that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
right.
to me it is.
So the question, though, is I think that the biggest players in the game right now are very savvy to that, and even if they are aware of it and kind of do it in bumbling ways. What was it? There was kind of that infamous picture from GABF this year where was it Wicked Weed covered up that they were from AB InBev?
Yeah, they got called out hard on that.
And then there was somebody else from AB InBev who did the same thing. Like they did it in a different way. So 2 of the, how many craft brands do they own? A dozen at most?
10 or 11. Are we
Right.
talking just in the U.S.? I don't remember.
Right, just in the U.S. So I'm sure they were all at GABF. So 2 of them at least, cover that stuff up because they want to seem, quaint and local, and in some regards they actually truly are, I think, kind of local. But that's, to me personally, just this shows how savvy these big companies are now. Like,
Yeah.
craft and local is hot. cool. Let's go acquire
let's
some.
acquire and recuperate it all. No, for sure. Anything that pops up in opposition
and crush
to,
the other ones.
Yeah. Every industry wants to monopolize and have a monopoly.
And that's kind of what's happening here with Lagunitas.
Absolutely.
And you know what? But to be fair, I mean, how many after Heineken? I'm curious how many sales, how many jobs were created as a result of the Heineken merger. Were facilitated by that. The growth that they allowed for versus this cut.
Well, that's an interesting question, and it kind of looks. I mean, looking at the existing infrastructure of some of the larger buys that we've seen, like Fireman Capital and Canarchy and everything, and how they seem to be combining, and it doesn't look like they're shedding employees at all. So I think it's just strong management of saying, hey, you guys know what you're doing, work together and figure this out. Or the group that did. It's like Brooklyn and 21st Amendment and all that. Same thing. You don't see them shedding a bunch of employees. AB has a ridiculous amount of employees for all of their different wings. And, we did see recently that the high end got decimated, but they still allow their brands to operate fairly independently so long as they're within party line. I mean, like the majority of them have marketing people that work with one marketing coordinator above them kind of scenario. Sales are kind of the same thing, but tailored a little bit differently. I don't exactly know how Miller Coors does it, but Miller Coors has been hiring. I know that they're constantly hiring for positions, and it's not just low-level positions; it's mid-level stuff too. So I think that the overall job marketplace for the industry is very good, and I think one of the elephant in the rooms when it comes to employment in the industry, and there was just, I don't remember where I read this, it might have been on Facebook, but somebody just released an article about salaries of brewers across across the nation. And
good article.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It tears it up, but based on the size of the brewery. But as we see this, Shakedown 2, Electric Boogaloo coming or whatever, people are going to be needing jobs, and if you're a skilled brewer, you might go ahead and just go brew Miller for a while, or maybe go to an AB brewery and principals.
And also get better benefits and make more money.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, again, wages are generally flat or not rising. Costs are going up. Take the money and run. Get the job. Get the job and work.
I've seen it happening specifically with people I know here in Chicago who have gone to, not Miller, but bigger players here in the city who maybe their heart isn't with, but they're like, but I get, full benefits. I have a stable job.
Yeah,
I
nobody
have
time off.
Have that.
Yeah, paid time off is enormous. 401k, medical.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things are huge, and they're just
important.
They're extraordinarily important.
You're
and again,
still, making beer and practicing your trade and doing all that stuff. I guess everybody wants to maybe build hot rods, in their backyard, but maybe working for the Harley-Davidson plant is still kind of pretty cool.
Yep.
I think it's time for us to take a music break. Maybe listen to some tunes for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes or so.
I got a bunch of records. You want me to put on some weird stuff?
You certainly. I mean, you got to talk to the
planned
DJ.
for that.
Yeah. But anyway, no matter what music you're listening to, we will come back after that with more Beer Temple Insiders. Roundtable. Now, if that music does not get you ready to play video games, Ed, I don't know what
I'm
will.
super pumped up, man. I can't wait. Halloween on Overwatch, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna play Mystery Heroes. I'm gonna play the arcade mode. I'm gonna play with Quick Play. I'm gonna go hang out.
No more options.
I'm gonna hang out.
Just going through the options.
I'm gonna hang out with my buddies Maui and Phoebes. And Luna, man, she is the best healer out there.
You want to hand me that hazy IPA there, buddy?
Yeah. This is the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. As you probably guessed from Ed's diatribe about video games, Ed is one of my guests, as is
Pro gamer.
Adam and Kate. And so during the break, we're just going to go off script a little bit, if that's okay. If you guys didn't know, everything Ed's been saying has been completely scripted.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Writing it.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Throw it away, Ed.
What?
Throw away the
Page
script.
4?
No, you got to get rid of it. Yep. Now,
Oh
yep.
my God.
We're onto the paper.
Can we get craft services in here?
Yes. Yeah. It's they left. Actually, they never showed up. Actually, they never existed. So during the break, Adam mentioned an article that was released today by our good friend Josh Noel about a brewery here in Chicago called Burnt City. And we decided just to talk about it a little bit, to hot take it a little bit. Why not just a little bit? We'll just talk a tiny bit about it.
What did the story say,
I think
Chris?
it's a little more than lukewarm.
What did it say? What did
I
it
haven't
say?
even read the article.
Oh, I thought you were familiar with it, Ed.
Can you talk?
I'm familiar.
About it?
Okay.
Can you talk about it?
No, I can do it.
Yeah.
It's basically about Burnt City changing up their business plan fairly significantly. Burnt City was a brewery that started with a brew pub concept in Lincoln Park, stumbling distance from Delilah's that had a bowling alley attached to it. And then they opened up a second location on the south side where they were doing production brewing.
Is that the order it went, or did it start south side and then they took over?
No, it started
Brew pub.
It started at the brew
Okay,
pub, then
okay.
it went down to the south side.
Were they originally Atlas,
They
though?
were, and they had to.
Got it,
they
that's
lost
right.
a lawsuit.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep, they lost a lawsuit or whatever with an Atlas Brewing out of, I think, D.C. And changed. They decided to change not only their name, but they changed up all their branding. They changed up what beer styles they were brewing and so on. And they were doing like a saison, there was like a Butcher Boy farmhouse ale and things like that.
They were a second wave Chicago brewery, right? When
Correct.
doing
yeah.
a Belgian style brewery was a de rigueur for the likes of suburban breweries
Yeah,
and
and
some Chicago breweries.
I can't give an exact timetable. I don't really think in terms of time like that, but it was a while ago. Second wave is a good way of putting that. The beer was always fine. There was nothing ever really technically wrong with it. And when they executed well, it was great. They made really good beer. The bowling league, the Craft Brewers Guild bowling league was there for a while, and then they opened up this south side location, and I think the plan was to expand
Like a big production facility.
Yeah, big enough. It was an old potato chip factory, I think.
Yeah, the Jay's
And they
potatoes.
opened that in 2014.
There you go. Yeah. So anyway, so they did that, and then I don't know how well that was working, and that's just me speculating. But I know they were contract brewing and alt propping with a bunch of people, which that's common knowledge. Like Around the Bend is brewing there, and Hot Butcher was brewing there, and a bunch of other guys were brewing there, and it was sort of like the good the alternative to what Ale Syndicate is like sort of like an incubation space. But anyway, so the new article came out today that says that they're dumping both those locations. They're closing them. And one thing, and I'm just going to scroll through the article and quote a few things. Quote, AB InBev won the war, end quote, from Burnt City co-founder Steve Sobel, who I don't think I've ever met. And talks about how the industry realities are everything's clamping down and you're just not able to sell beer like you used to and all that kind of good stuff. So the new place is going to be a tap room, a kitchen, a pour your own, where people can pour their own beer was the takeaway that I took from this. Actually, that was the thing that really pissed me off that I read about it. Sorry, I'm trying to find this real quick if anybody wants to jump in so I don't just sound like I'm babbling.
Also barbecue.
Barbecue, there we go. Yeah, barbecue's hot. I'm surprised there's not Nashville Heart Chicken too. I hear that's popular.
Well, I mean, so they're consolidating There was a bunch of interesting things that they said in this article. I don't think we need to get into the specifics of it, but they had a bowling alley, and they said, if it had been up to us, we would have never been a place that served Miller. I don't want to get into the specifics of it. I think the more interesting thing to me is that they're consolidating from what was going to be 15,000 barrel a year to, let's say, maybe 3,000.
Yeah, I
3,000.
Yeah, 3 is their butter zone.
Yeah.
I think they said 5.
They said 5, but I'm going to say
a sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say 2 to 3.
Which reminds me of the thing that Tony McGee said to me once, Chris. He said it was the most difficult
What
time.
were you doing at the time? It's more...
Well,
anyway, don't answer that.
The point is, he said it's really difficult to go from 2 to 5,000 than 5 to 20,000. And that's what we're experiencing right now, and it is very difficult to go from 2 to 5,000 barrels.
Yeah.
So going to 5, they're right, that is the sweet spot. If you get to 5, you could float and probably have a sustainable business. So it's interesting. But yeah, the article did mention the pour your own thing, which kind of bummed me out because really you want the people who work there to live and breathe what your brewery is doing and represent it and personify it. And be
especially
there
at a tap room, not just a beer bar. I mean, beer bar, you can say what you want about the pour your own concept. Some people like it, but like I'm going to the tap room because I want to get what you're about. I want to like absorb it like a sponge, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm not just going there because I can put the most beer in my glass.
And I'm hoping that they're listening right now, or they listen to this in the future, not in 2033 or whatever.
When our restaurant opens up on the moon.
But I hope they listen to it soon because...
Excuse me, Moon Cafe.
We would all agree here that's not a good idea to do the pour your own at the tap room. Because from what I was understanding about this project that wasn't really written about, is that 2 or 3 different brands will be co-located there as well in an alt-prop relationship.
Yep.
And that those 3 breweries will actually release their beer there and have their own tap room present, their own on-premise sales that'll allow them to capture that additional revenue. And it's meant to be like an incubator as well in that sense.
And that's also, because of this new law that's allowed, right?
Yeah, and that makes sense to me because, 5, 6, 7 years ago, people were talking about how breweries were going to – I think I know I said it, but I wasn't the first one that said like breweries will start working together to kind of get costs of ingredients down because beer is an agricultural volume business, and working together to kind of make
hop contracts,
working
grain
together,
contracts,
yeast contracts, sharing yeast so that you're not pitching $1,000 per pitch, and aluminum, which is terrible right now for everyone, and sharing all those resources is a good idea, and you're seeing it with, as I mentioned earlier, for a completely different reason, but Canarchy and all those guys that are sort of working together in almost co-op capacities.
And that was actually the original plan for Mars. We wanted to set up a place like that. And since we weren't an existing brewery, everyone thought we were a bunch of morons, and they didn't listen to us, right?
And now you own a block.
Now we're a moron. Now we're even
you
bigger morons.
Self-serve tap room? That was your idea?
Well, no, my idea was to have these different brewing systems and capabilities for different breweries to start out and incubate their brands and grow them and be able to fill capacity when they needed it,
Yeah.
And then you would share the same warehouse, same brew house, same distribution, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and it should be mentioned that the alt-propping or alternating proprietorship, which is where you can basically, if you're a brewing company, you can own a tank in a brewery space and brew on that system and make your beer there and so on. That's really advantageous for a brewer that, might not that is basically charging rent for space. So it's like owning a 3-flat in Chicago where you pay your mortgage with the cost of 1 flat and then you have a 3rd flat you might work 2 and all these things
lower
work
risk for entry into the brewing business. And then today, due to this high volume of breweries that are out there, it is your safest bet to do this kind of like contract brewing or all prop brewing. You could find out whether or not people care about your beer or your product, and if they do, you might be able to eventually open up your own spot someday.
Yeah, right? And I didn't know about all the other stuff, but it makes sense. You think about how many businesses can share in these tiny little spaces. Like I immediately think about the Source out in Denver, outside of Denver, where Crooked Stave is, and they have like the taco.
In New Belgium now.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Dang.
So them and arguably the Malt Row here in Chicago, I guess, which has become a tourist destination. But then this New Burnt City place is in the exact same row as like Great Central and Goose Island and On Tour, and I don't even know who else. Maybe the New Finch, who knows? But like,
and the ruins of the original Unane, which people visit and line up and see. Look at
true.
peer inside
True, yes.
to see the clouds, the haze, the origins of haze.
yep. So it's a cool idea.
No, it
there's
makes
just
complete sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the guy Sobel, is that his last name? One of the co-owners.
yeah, I guess.
He's converting that property he has on Lincoln into an eight unit condo. Probably a little bit more lucrative to get.
Just what that
built.
neighborhood needs.
Needs a new condo thing on Lincoln Avenue, and of course the Jays building they're just destroying. So it seems like the owners of the Jays building were like, you better get the heck out of here and find a place to go because we're just going to demolish this building. We're selling this property. So by moving to that kind of Fulton area is probably a smart idea. And offering these services is a good idea. And then self-serve beer, bad idea.
Very bad idea.
Bad idea.
Why?
Well, we just talked about it earlier, Chris, when you stepped out and went to the bathroom. We're saying that
Yeah.
you want your
Yeah.
patrons and your fans and your customers to have a direct experience with a human being. If craft beer means anything, it means we're pro-human beings.
Yep.
Now, does that
Also, when
does something make does
You mean
a brewery that does that make you think twice about them in other ways? Because to me, it kind of does, personally. Like, do they care? I mean,
you can do the self-serve jam?
yeah,
You're saying something there. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and I'm not sure you're saying necessarily a good thing. Now, I have to see how they implement it.
I don't want them to do that.
Right? No, I'm not saying you do, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, does it say stuff about other areas of what they do? Like, if
Well,
what's up, Kate?
yeah, given that they're in such a brewery saturated area already, I mean, say a person bops around to like 4 different breweries that day. Like, what are you remembering? I mean, that beer better smack you over the head as like the best thing you drank that day, because otherwise you're going to remember the nice bartender you talked to down the road or the cool bit of information you learned at the other brewery. I mean, that's like a dicey prospect to not have that connection.
Unless
Yeah,
it's the
they are.
first time you've ever poured yourself your own beer.
Right. And then
It
you're
better
right.
be the first time you've ever done it.
Now, that's a
Yes.
good point, Chris. That will be the thing you remember. Like, holy cow, I can pour my own beer at the brewery.
And you also remember that you're paying by the ounce, and if half of that is foam, I mean,
Well,
That was the most genius insight into that whole thing, actually.
What's that? What's
Paying
that?
for
That's
foam.
that they're paying for 4 inches of foam.
Oh, well, no. I mean, that's so those models are from a profitability standpoint are genius because there is literally no loss other than from when you're switching out cleaning lines, changing kegs, stuff like that. There's no loss because if your system is out of whack, it's
Yeah,
tough.
you're in trouble.
tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless the customer knows enough to complain, and then the person probably says, "Oh," and then they knock 50% off the price. or
I mean, there's
something.
one in the airport. I think I've mentioned it on the
Which
show before.
that is where I've said before.
Yeah.
Though that's where those things make sense to
That's
me.
disgusting to me. Are you kidding me? You have no idea what child went up and put its finger on the tap before you poured your
But
beer.
like a place like that is where like I just want to go up, pour my own beer, and leave. Like there's nothing a person
I'm kind
there
of
is gonna
grossed
help
out by
me.
it as well. I mean, I'll eat out of a wall in Amsterdam, out of the FIBO wall, because I know qualified individuals place those fried goods into the little boxes. And in the airport, you know, who knows what the heck's going to go on that little the nozzles of the beer. I mean, I would be totally disgusted. But I think I thought of a reason why they want to do this or why they mentioned it. They're probably looking at their budgets. They're probably looking at the cost of doing business over these past few years with their double breweries, 2 breweries. And, knowing the Saller brothers, it's like those 2 guys work in the brewery. It's a pretty skeleton crew. They work their butts off.
Yeah, you've worked with those guys.
They're incredibly good at what they do.
They're
too.
great
really
They
technical
made a
guys.
batch of
Yeah.
Jungle Boogie.
They
once.
made the Lumpen Boogie, which was a fundraiser 12-pack for this radio station. So in a way, those cats helped build the station. So I have some sort of like loyalty, and I have some sort of nepotistic viewpoints here, right? But I think one of the reasons is because they're used to being kind of bare bones. They don't want to have a lot of staff. I'm thinking maybe that's it. But imagine you had a cutout picture of me or King Kona sitting next to the tap with an automated arm that
Why
said,
did you say you were King Kona?
What-
You or King Kona?
yeah,
Like,
well, popular figures in the beer universe.
funny that
here in the
those
South
two
Side.
rolled off your tongue so quickly.
Tony McGee would
Tony
be another good
McGee,
one.
Tony McGee sitting there, a cutout Tony McGee with his hand waving, going, "Hey there, try a beer.
Yeah.
Hey there, try a beer."
Put a little moose
You know,
out
you just-
front. Sorry, folks.
put a moose?
Moose should have told you.
Yeah.
Close it today.
Or if you're gonna go, here's the future. Another great brewery idea. Everyone's familiar with Chuck E. Cheese.
I knew that's where you were going with
Thank
this.
you, Kate. We're going to open a business in
A
Missoula.
band?
No, Chuck E.
Can
Cheese.
it also be on the moon?
No, it will be in actually every city in America starting next year. We're going to replace
Oh.
every pour your own bar is now going to be a Chuck E. Cheese like experience with an animatronic band that plays music and talks about the beer in between the sets.
Okay. That's
Million,
cool.
billion, trillion dollar idea.
Billion dollar idea. And you'll be served pastry beers, pizza beers,
Hazy beers.
hazy beers. There'll be
Like a
like
palate cleanser,
There's an odd,
hazy.
you know,
Cucumber,
the
palate
automated
cleanser.
automated sushi bars that you can go to. Pizza, beer, pizza puff, pizza
Sushi beer.
nuggets, sushi
Just
beer.
all the things all together.
Rolling down, all automated. You pick it up. You're sitting down, watching the band, eating and drinking
Yeah,
this delicious
pizza.
thing.
Beer.
What if you just
pizza,
launched
beer.
it at your face so you didn't even have to pick it up?
Yeah.
Oh, my
just-
God.
Yeah, just
That's-
launch them at your face. I like that.
You know what?
Little catapult.
These booths, when you set your head in the booths, you get a beer bong attached to your head.
Yeah.
With these funnels, and you press a button, and it just beer and food just goes down the funnel into your
That's
mouth.
the future I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Beer and food.
And
Who's with me?
And they're like
Who's
the
with me?
luxury chairs in the movie theater that recline
And massage.
with funnels in your mouth.
And there's just a little grinder that just grinds up all the food and just
Yeah,
chucks it in
just
as a
dissolves in the
paste.
beer
Oh, right.
because that's how you're
Sign
drinking,
me up.
eating. Anyways, I'm so glad that they're innovating this new concept at Burnt City that now allowed us to kind of like piggyback on it and evolve the entire category.
Got it. All right
Innovation.
then.
That's what it's about.
Okay then.
I don't know if I could. You know what? Maybe not food in the funnel, just beer.
So
We'll work out the details.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Talk soon.
Uh,
Missoula, the Austin of Montana, will be the first
Ready.
prototype
Ready
location.
for it.
well, there's a few things we could do. We could talk. We've got a
Wait,
little bit of time.
have we exhausted our discussion about the need for another brewery in the West Loop area?
I could use
We
at
could talk
least
about
two
that.
more restaurants as well if we're gonna, if we're talking about this.
It's so hot, guys.
A couple more condo complexes, maybe some 40-story buildings.
That'd be good.
Rent's very
Another
affordable
Google?
there.
Yeah,
We
Another
could get-
Google building.
maybe another high-end hotel
Hmm.
that influencers get to go to. That would be a
Yeah.
good one.
That'd be
Love
great.
the
Wait,
influence.
you mean a hotel just called Influencer?
Yeah,
Influencer.
yeah.
And everything's free because influencers get everything for free.
It'd
Right.
be perfect.
Yeah.
I like that.
How many Instagram followers do you have to stay there for free?
Well, the thing is, the entire hotel is subsidized by advertising through Instagram.
So 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the more the rates are cheaper, the more followers you have.
Or actually, did anyone watch the TV series Maniac?
Let's talk
Because the
about
way
it.
we could pay for this hotel and everything is just to ask a person to just sell ads to us, to hang out with us for about an hour or two a day, and they're a walking advertisement, and they quiz us, and that would be the best way to pay for everything. You just have to ask for corporate advertisements to be fed into your brain for 2 hours.
That sounds wonderful. Sounds
perfect.
basically what's already happening. But
Hmm.
do you want to talk more about the West Loop, Ed, or can we talk about something different? I'm done talking about
Fine,
that.
man. I mean, that's my favorite topic.
Ed, do you want to talk about? I'll let you guys decide. Do you want to talk about the fact that professional athletes are going to be endorsing beer, or do you want to talk about beer festivals? I mean, I'm sure they're just raring to talk about both of those.
Can we talk about professional athletes underwriting beer festivals?
There we go. When's that
if you,
going to
if you got
happen?
a story for it, yeah.
Kate, you're out in the West. Sports are
Yeah.
huge in the big sky.
No.
We don't have any professional sports teams actually in
So
Montana.
let's talk about Beer Fest.
Oh.
Kate was
We
just
had-
at. Oh, sorry.
We have the University of Montana Grizzlies. That's what we got.
Well, you were just at a giant beer fest, and it seems to me that there's now 3 types of beer fests. There's the big association beer fests, like the BA ones, the guild, the state guilds, the stuff like that. There's the for-profit ones that are going to be like here in Chicago at like Soldier Field.
Octofest,
Yeah.
beer, barbecue, and babes at Soldier Field.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, Octofest is a good example.
Oh wait, that's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Yeah, AB and Bev.
Oktoberfest.
AB and Bev Fest.
Oktoberfest, yeah. But also like the Hoptacular that happened recently that they had at a helipad and stuff like that.
I missed that.
Yeah, I know.
There was a helipad for it?
Yeah.
Did
they
Kona
had it
show
at
up?
the helipad. He was hosting it. He was above it,
Oh,
flying
he was
around
flying
in the blimp.
above. Yeah.
In the blimp.
Okay.
And then there was did Kona show
Well,
up?
Beer Advocate does several festivals, for example. But publications do a lot of festivals. Hop Culture. Who else does these? Mashtown Journal used to do these.
So
right?
those are kind of I would say the for-profit ones,
The
right?
brewery and
And then the third one is the brewery,
And
the
distributor.
supplier side,
Yeah, supplier side.
invitational
Yeah.
ones, the supplier side invitationals,
Yeah.
which is where I think, and it's funny, they're kind of all I think funneling into 3 different distinct types. You can almost tell,
But they never
based
were.
on who's
They never were different. They never were a hybrid, anyways. They were always this way.
no supplier fests are pretty new.
no, not really. I mean,
you don't think?
Glunz's Expo goes back.
Yeah.
Shelton Brothers, how
Shelton
long have they been
Brothers,
doing it?
yeah.
But
No,
that's
no,
always
those are
been very
distributors.
niche-y.
Those aren't suppliers.
Well,
those aren't
they're
like
suppliers to me and to you.
right, but they're not like suppliers from the stand. They're not producers. That's
Like
what I should
Firestone
say.
Walker Invitational.
Yeah, Firestone
Exactly.
Walker Invitational.
That's the one I'm thinking about as like the
Wicked Weed
archetype.
did one. That was a big thing, and
Yeah,
Everyone remembers the Mashtown Invitational back in '63, of course.
right.
Yeah.
But like those are now becoming very popular, and
big deal.
So many breweries in the past
Yeah.
2 years,
Everywhere. 3-4 years.
are now doing
Yeah.
those. But even in the past, like just a couple, there's so many breweries who are doing like we're doing this fest, that fest, whatever name of
Golden
brewery
Love.
fest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I think all the kind of geekiest beer events are now. I think going to
brewery-based fest,
Brewery-based
yeah.
fest. And not, which is kind of interesting. They can kind of leverage their relationships with their peers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do that. And Half Acre's doing there's their inaugural one this weekend, which to me I think is a pretty obviously I'm sure they wanted to do it, and was
Well,
fun to do.
Chicago needed a larger festival of
It
that
was also a
type.
very interesting
Yeah.
play where there was no big regional brewery based invitational, and they're like, well, we'll do it, and now it's no local beers. Well, I don't want to say no local beers. There's no Illinois beers.
yeah. I think
Obviously,
this has a
the
lot of
exception being them.
I think this has a lot of implications for the market at large too. One of the big things that we've been talking about recently is the way that the laws have changed for tap rooms and so on. What I think is really interesting is how many out of market beers are available at this event. It's a significant amount. And that means if everybody did it right, it means they paid their dues or paid their setup fees for the state, and they're going through wholesale or through wholesalers. Which remember in Illinois at Case 1, you own a brand if you're a distributor once that's sold, and so this I think has large implications as to how contracts are being written and handshaked to get this beer into the market to be able to be sold legally. I mean, Sierra Nevada's done beer camp here a few times, and the leftover beer got sold. I mean, I think you got some last time. I got some from like Boneyard and so on. And there's definitely beer filtering out to the market from these breweries that are ostensibly just participating in this festival. But I'm getting kegs, you're getting kegs. These things are going out. So it's an interesting way of playing in the market that you don't like dipping your toe into the market without having to go full on. And I think that's going to cause a more interesting ripple effect when it comes to what distributors will feel about how they write contracts, how they'll work with outside brands, and
you're
so
already,
on.
if they do come into the market, they've already got a relationship with you, and
Yeah.
you can just kind of easily kind of step into that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But conversely, most of these distributors don't want to take on more brands. They don't even want more SKUs, nor do a lot of breweries want to join a distributor that has a big book. So it's really complex. It's not just benefiting the distributor or the brewery, right?
No, but I think distribution is where the next big battle is going to be fought during this. Just because, I mean, we have a couple small independent wholesalers that are operating that have less than 20 suppliers that are easily, able to take a brand and say, we can put you here and go. And then, if you want, you don't have to stay, just send the beer in for this and get it done. And the implications of that when it comes to the taproom law of saying, Half Acre is going to have a bunch of people come out. They brew regularly with other guys. Reyes and Chicago Beverage might not be interested in handling that kind of stuff, but somebody small would be, and that would be beneficial to them to say, I'll take in 20 kegs, cool, and then that's it.
Well, most of the beer coming in for the event is coming in through one of the big boys.
Yeah, CBS.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, some of them are, but they're not all. Some of them are going through some of the smaller guys too. Brian Kirby's
Heartland.
Heartland is handling some of them as well. But yeah, it's interesting how it's kind of because I don't know, like it seems like the beer festivals used to almost be put together, at least here, by like enthusiast groups.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
it
where
was like
it's-
Chicago Beer Society was FOBAB, I think, and
Yeah.
the festival, or the Real Ale Festival. And,
Yeah. And Kate, you've been around, I mean, the country a little bit more. Have you seen a kind of a change in like the sponsorship or ownership of beer festivals?
For sure. I think you're right on with saying that breweries are taking more ownership themselves because they don't like the way the alternatives are run. And I went to Firestone Walker Invitational for the first time this year, and it was exactly like as awesome as promised. And I think part of that was that you could tell every brewer that was there bought into being there on a very enthusiastic personal level. And not only were they there to tell you about their beer, but they were there to tell you about the other beers that were there. Like, brewers didn't even want to talk about their own beer. They were like, oh, have you met the guys over there from whatever, Fonteflora? Like, they wanted to geek out on other people's beers, which is the most educational, discovery oriented, what beer festivals are supposed to be about. And that shines through a lot more when people actually want to be there.
Right.
So from a consumer standpoint, I think that change is very obvious and palpable, and is a win for consumers when the brewers want to be there, obviously.
Yeah. I tend to think that the best festivals now are put, with very few exceptions. I still think the best is Great Taste, the Midwest, which is put on by an enthusiast group. But after that, I think it is the suppliers who are putting on the best festivals, because I think they have the relationships, and also I think they treat the brewers right. I think one of the, Firestone Walker is a great example, but also, who might have been, I'm curious who was first, but Mikkeller might have been the first to have one of these like grand invitationals where you come out and
It's like Copenhagen Beer Fest.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Beer Celebration, and you're kind of treated like royalty. And now a lot of
You get free shawarma.
But a lot of these festivals now, Ed, I mean, they'll fly you out, they'll buy the beer,
Yeah.
they'll put you up in hotels.
Absolutely.
You know?
Like Four Hands did that years ago. Four Hands was one of these breweries that had their own festival, the
Lupulin Festival.
The Lupulin Festival, and I remember the hospitality there blew me away. And in fact, if you don't offer that hospitality to brewers now, you're kind of like an outlier in that sense. So if you have these invitationals, you are really taking care of these brewers, and you are buying their beer. And in fact, you're mostly losing money when you throw these festivals.
That's what I was just going to say. Like,
yeah.
you either have to
you're throwing away money.
You have to lose a lot of money or charge a ton of money or both, honestly.
Yeah, most of these festivals are not making any money.
Right.
The ones done by breweries, for sure.
Which is bucket list festival for me is Culmination out in Alaska, Anchorage Brewing.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
like
a big
that one. I'm like 2019.
Nice.
Because like, how special do you have to be to get flown to Alaska? I aspire to that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen the pictures there of like people going like, salmon fishing and stuff on their off day, and it's just like, you people are the worst.
Hugging polar bears.
Right.
I want to do an ice luge on a glacier.
Yep. Man.
How about
dreams?
Any bucket list beer festivals for either of you guys, Ed or Adam?
Well, let me just be the most self-serving person in the room again.
Lumpen Beer Fest.
No, we're actually doing Liquid Dreams, our first festival at our new place. It's next Sunday, October 21st.
Oh, cool. With
a stellar lineup of guest breweries of people we've worked with in the past or collaborated with or inspired us to do what we're doing. But really, I guess my favorite festival I would want to go to besides that would be your Appreciation Festival, Chris. I want you to bring it back because I recall you had some really good one-liners, some witty banter, and some awesome beer there. You managed to find some really elusive beers that most people don't have in the marketplace. So being there would be nice. How's that?
Okay. Well,
and then the other last festival would be Firestone Walker Invitational. I've never been. I want to go.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's
incredible.
I gotta go
for me.
Yeah,
I definitely want to go to. I think that's my bucket list.
I went a couple years ago, and it was just phenomenal. I think mine would probably be the Copenhagen Beer Fest because I've never been to Copenhagen.
Yeah, that's a good one. You want to go there?
Yeah.
But they just started the Chicago Craft Beer Week in Copenhagen.
It's true.
And I think
Ed started it. Also true.
Yeah, you should actually make sure you're part of that when they start flying people over there.
Sad but true. I was there when you guys came up with the idea. I saw it birthed.
Can you believe it, man?
I kind of can't believe it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So right now in Copenhagen, there are 8 breweries serving beer in this kind of like interesting complex in the neighborhood in Copenhagen close to the War Pigs Brewery. Noon Whistle, Corridor, Dry Hop, Hop Butcher, Maplewood, Mars. I'm forgetting one. Anyways, we all sent beer over there because these guys really were excited about Chicago beer scene.
Maybe?
No, Jerry was MIA.
He wimped out, huh?
But anyways, Chris gave them some Chicago beer. They liked it, and we kept showing up there after 24 hours of biking every day.
Yeah.
And we started talking about, you should get some real Chicago beers in here if you have a chance. Just I don't know if you import them or if you can get them from Mikkeller, who was the guy who locked down the Copenhagen.
Runs town.
Runs Copenhagen.
He's like the Daniel Day-Lewis in that Gangs of New York. That's basically Mikkeller in Copenhagen.
I thought you meant that he just actually ran everywhere because he also does that.
That's true.
Yeah,
he
does that too.
Club. We did see the running club when we were out there too.
Anyways, they talked about wanting to bring the beer, and then he emailed and said, we really want to bring the beer, and we'll start this thing called Chicago Craft Beer Week. I'm like, okay, great.
At least it's living on somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly dead here.
It's a lot more exciting in Copenhagen, right?
Strong.
So true. It moved.
Harsh but true.
It's migrated to Copenhagen, and now we could all go there and have hot dogs.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm down.
Oh, we're always
very strong hot dog scene in Copenhagen.
No, big.
Surprisingly.
Big. Yeah. Chris and I are going to go there whenever we can.
Yeah, we're just going to go to see how the planning for the
next
is
festival.
Coming along.
A lot of meetings for that.
Yeah. I wanted to thank my guests. And I think it's time for a final word from everyone. So I figured I could go around the horn and see if there's anything you guys would like to say. Adam, I remember there was some stuff that we were holding off on, so I think maybe now would be a good time. Adam, is there anything you would like to say?
Big stuff, yeah. Publican's 10th anniversary.
Holy cow.
Is October 28th.
That's awesome.
10th, man.
Old.
Yeah, 10 years. Like,
Old.
you talk about
OG.
West Loop being, crazy now, and back then it
Yeah,
wasn't.
it was like
I used to go as
I
a
have to tell
dicey back
people that
then.
go past Halstead, they're calling you like, I don't think I'm in the right place. No, keep going.
Yeah. As an old guest of theirs, and now somebody that works there, it's pretty. I stand on the shoulders of giants. But yeah, so we're doing a pretty ridiculous knockdown, drag out beer dinner. I've got
Awesome.
a bunch of collaboration beers and stuff coming in from the market, so it's going to be ridiculous.
Fun.
Yeah,
That's exciting. And when is that?
October 28th on Sunday.
Cool.
The joy one has when walking into Publican is just unbelievable. Every time I go, I'm so happy for you guys. I know you're not supposed to order chicken in a restaurant. I love the Publican chicken.
Ed, is that your final word, Ed?
Yeah.
Okay. Kate, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you would like to say in closing?
Just leave nice comments on my beer articles at thetakeout.com to offset all the
No.
not nice things in the comments. No, our commenters are actually amazing, but
people are
I read all
trolling.
of them,
Yeah.
which is trying at times. But read things on thetakeout.com and then tell me what you think.
I'm going there right now.
Cool.
It's a good place to be.
Thetakeout.com.
Thetakeout.com. Yeah, and
right.
come visit our Moon restaurant.
There you go.
20
I
Coming
can't
soon.
wait.
Well, guys, I don't have much time. I want to say we are having some events this weekend. Might be fun to check out.
You're going to have some cracked out events all week. all
Cracked
weekend.
out. We're going to be cracked out, man.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and I'll tell you all about it next week with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again, 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 again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again, 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 again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again, 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 again.